Thanks for coming out today.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau began his day in the Ottawa suburb of Canada, where the party is trying to hold a seat in the face of a Conservative challenge. A series of national campaign polls now show the Liberals and Conservatives running tide and the NDP on the rise. Trudeau's focus today was on mental health and the challenges facing so many Canadians during the pandemic. Trudeau promised a re-elected Liberal government would send $4.5 billion in new health transfers over 5 years to the provinces as long as they use that money for mental health services.
This funding and this new transfer will mean everything from shorter wait times to more mental health professionals on the job. We'll also invest in 1,200 new mental health care counselors at colleges and universities and develop a distinctions-based strategy with First Nations, Inuit and Métis people.
And as the polls tighten, Trudeau is stepping up his attacks on the Conservative leader. Again, Justin Trudeau invoking the spectre of his Conservative opponent dismantling public health care and other social programs.
We can't afford Erin O'Toole sitting across the table from Doug Ford or any other premier. Not on health care, not on mental health, and not on vaccines, schools, or childcare.
Conservative leader Erin O'Toole was also in Ottawa today, back inside the Conservative Party media studio for his daily campaign announcement. O'Toole's pledged today that a Conservative government will balance the budget within a decade by winding down pandemic supports, investing in targeted stimulus measures, and reining in spending.
When you run endless and reckless deficits, when you rack up that much debt, when you don't have a plan to balance the budget, inflation goes up. The cost of everything, including gas and groceries, goes up. You also put our social safety net at risk.
Erin O'Toole was also pressed again today about his promise to boost health care transfers to the provinces as part of his plan to increase funding for mental health, without telling the provinces how they can spend the increased federal funds.
We will help highly affected sectors caught by this pandemic so that those jobs are preserved. We will grow the economy so that we can get back to balance in a responsible and equitable way without cuts. That is our plan. It's why we launched it on the first full day of this campaign. Every Canadian family deserves a recovery.
What a good-looking group.
The NDP leader Jagmeet Singh campaigned in British Columbia at a stop in Coquitlam. Singh promoted his promises to make housing more affordable, including trying to push out buyers who purchase, renovate homes, and then flip them for a profit without even living in them. Singh would increase the taxable amount of their capital gains profits on those properties from 50% to 75%.
We don't want economic growth to be driven by rich investors that want to make profit off of housing, or foreign investors that see an opportunity to invest in our Canadian housing market, driving up the cost of housing for Canadians who can't afford a home. So what we want to do is to unlock the ability of Canadians to buy their own home. And to do that, we need to tackle the housing prices, we need to build more homes that are in people's budgets, and that's really our goal.
Singh also promised an NDP government would take measures to tackle the criminal component involved in increased housing prices.
We've seen how directly money laundering and criminal activity are driving up the cost of housing. We can also tackle that. And while the BC NDP has done a lot to tackle it provincially, it's really something that needs federal partnership.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet campaigned in Sherbrooke today, where he was joined by area candidates. Blanchet defended Quebec's law banning the wearing of religious symbols on the job for public sector workers, and he called on other party leaders to commit to not challenging or supporting court challenges against the law. And Green Party leader Annamie continued to campaign in Toronto, where she's trying to win a seat. She focused today on the need to take measures to improve food security for Canadians.
What are some of the solutions? We have spoken about them for years. We will speak about them again, and we will remember that things are interconnected. A guaranteed livable income for all, universal pharmacare, universal childcare, affordable housing. All of the building blocks for a life with dignity will ensure that there is more food security for those who need it the most.
Can I get a photo? Of course.
And that's the kind of day it's been, day 17 of the campaign.